You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice is lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. We're going to spice up life advice here, branding wise. We're not making t-shirts or anything, don't worry. But so Rudy, you can help me out with this. We got John Taffer Bar Rescue, who I know has been on with the Pardon My Take guys. We're always a little resistant because my years in the service industry, I have issues with the stress test component of the show. So we're going to talk about this stuff. But what we want to do is life advice that's bar related with a guy that's really doing it. Maybe you have a bar that's struggling. Maybe you have a bar that's awesome and you don't want his help. Maybe you want to ask him about the pirate episode. Who knows? But if you have a bar specific bar rescue life advice question, just put that in the title of the email, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. So that way Kyle can sift through those. We're also going to have Nikki Glazer on, comedian, female, and that's going to kill two birds with one stone because she's pretty vicious, but maybe we'll do some life advice relationship emails with her and also some stand-up comedy stuff. We should picture some jokes. We should bring that back.
I was telling Kyle, I wonder if this will go as well as the Nate Bargatze one.
I don't think I could do that with my camera on, which I'm glad that we don't. Usually we kind of bow out for that. I don't think I could have my camera on watching you pitch jokes to an established comedian. I think that was, I don't know what my face looked like during the Bargatze thing, but I guarantee I wouldn't want it on camera. I was like, I looked like I was in pain. Yeah.
Now, by the way, now I'm definitely doing it. So
I'm trying to think. This would be like, what if that'd be like John Taffer pitching you like sports segment ideas? Like, would you be open to that?
I don't think there's any way I would want to do Taffer sports segments.
Yeah, so
I'd
like
be shocked.
Nikki's probably like,
Right.
"Hey,
Right.
let me leave the comedy to me, dude. We're good to go." So now you're definitely gonna do it. So that's great.
Yeah, I think it's so bad that I want to do it. I mean, Bargatze's face, that sucked. It was the worst time. It's one of the worst times I've ever had. And
you can tell he's a real nice guy too.
I don't know. I think Nate's a nice guy, but I think he's a little bit like, and I don't think he's afraid to tell you to fuck off a little bit. I think there's nicer guys.
There's definitely nicer guys.
Yeah.
But I think he tries to be a nice guy is what I mean. Like I think he really tries to be a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a dick, but I could just tell, like his face, he was going, like it was the epitome. This. Yeah. If his face could have said something, it was, I don't want to do this. And you're
He's just disappointed, He was like, I didn't think Ryan would go there. I didn't think he was one of those guys. And then you were one of those guys.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what we're doing. We're doing it for the audience.
So it should be great. Look forward to that.
Yeah. She's going to be brutal. She's going to be meaner than he is. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Better start working on my material.
Yep.
Did you ever notice that when so I was talking to my therapist the other day.
Jesus.
I may make him awful.
That's just a deflection technique, though, I think, for you. Like, no, they're supposed to be bad. I'm telling you, they're supposed to be bad.
Meanwhile, he's going to sneak the one good one in there and be like, hope that she knows. Like, wait, hold on. Number 2 is good, man.
It's actually a good strategy. Yeah, set the bar real low and then have like a decent one in there and see if she
that
reacts.
Pickup Hoops one was great.
What do you think? What do you think will happen though if she likes one? Do you think like I'm gonna go, oh wow, that was awesome?
What's the best case scenario? Like she uses it in her next like stand-up special?
That's not really what the goal is here. I think it's to get like 3 of my roommates from college to just be cringing while they're listening to it. Because they all hit me up after the Nate thing. And they were like, we actually think you're funny, but that was awful, man. And I went, okay, good.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
All right. Noted.
Okay.
I will be better. Your roommates from college and Kyle will be cringing.
All right, here we go. This one's sort of a quick one. I don't know. Hey, guys, checking in Central Nebraska. He gave us his name. We'll leave it out. 6'2", 505 max squat, sick depth. Teaches. He's a teacher. Sounds like this guy's a pretty beefy, stout teacher. All right. I come in with a very odd question, so I'll try to lay it out as best as I can. In the summers, I obviously don't have school, so I work for the city at the local cemetery. I know how weird it sounds, but it's actually a pretty dope gig. So, some of this stuff isn't adding up. Why would he say it's a pretty dope college gig when he's a teacher? Whatever. Basically, we just mowed.
Is he a teacher? Or is he like a gym, or is he like a gym instructor?
No, he's a teacher. He's a teacher. Okay. So maybe he's saying it's a good gig for college guys, but then it's a good teacher gig. Whatever.
Yeah, my buddies that work at
seasonal. It's seasonal. What can you say? Teachers and college kids, seasonal work.
Back up. Wait a minute. You had multiple friends work at cemeteries?
Yeah, a couple of them. They actually, I think they were just like digging graves. Not like by hand. They would have like, the dump truck thing.
Big
and they would just like
things.
scoop it out. Yeah, and just kind of scoop it up. And they work a lot of nights. It was, I don't know. Kind of weird. But they enjoyed it.
I like working outside. There's something to be said for it.
Digging graves.
Like a good summer thing.
I wouldn't have picked digging graves if there was like a multiple choice. I'd probably pick other. I'd probably pick other before if like C was digging graves. Like, I definitely wouldn't pick that. But I'm sure there's things you find that you like about it.
All right.
I mean, you could dig foundations. That doesn't. It's not like they're part of the funeral processions. They're just digging graves and they're out. There's no like emotional attachment to it.
That's a good point. Hold on. Maybe if it was option C, I would take it. I don't know. I'd have to see what A and B was.
I feel like I'm not even on the podcast right now. All right. So I've always been a big fan of yours. Listen to every pod. And now I'd like to state that I listen to my headphones 8 hours a day, every day. All right. I get to a point where I was so locked into your pod that I would watch games and take little notes just to try to see if I could argue any of your points you'd be making in the next pod. It sounds super fucking weird, but it was actually sick. Anyway, I'm not working this summer due to my massive gambling profits during March Madness. I still love the pod, but I'll admit I'm not as locked in as I once was. Now comes my problem. I can no longer watch basketball without trying to pick out every little detail that I think Russillo will point out. I can't fucking enjoy the games anymore because I'm constantly worrying about the shit I don't care about. Thoughts on how I can fix this? Thanks. Welcome to watching games for a living, except you're not getting paid for it. So that's, unless your gambling profits are all based on your knowledge. So then just keep doing what you're doing. Don't do that. Just try to find a way to stop. I'm not telling you to stop listening to the podcast, but trust me, that's why I've enjoyed other sports sometimes, because I know I don't have to have takes on any of it. Like, I watched all the games last night, and the whole time I'm just crafting out, like, what would be interesting here? What could I do there? And I don't even think I necessarily even had that. It wasn't the most interesting open I've ever done, certainly today. But the only thing I can compare it to on a newer level is that once I started trying to write, now when I'd watch TV shows, it's completely different. It's completely different. And I kind of just miss watching a show, but now I can't because I'm such an artist. So, it's challenging. They definitely come up with a better hobby than this, because we're never going to talk. This is it. This is the end of our communication. You and I are never going to talk. So now there's not even really an art. What's the benefit? What's the benefit of you going, oh, I found something he's wrong about because I took down this note, or, hey, I guessed right on this thing that he was going to do? I just think there's better ways to spend time.
There's no way you could channel this into something good, though. I'm trying to think, like, I guess he could start his own pod. It's pretty tough these days.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
I mean, you could try it out. At least use it somewhere. But I don't know. Like, if he's killing it gambling, I assume it's working in some way. So I could say, if you're making money off
your
that way, do it. Yeah. Hey, he's got the summer off. You can
spend all your time gambling and then making a podcast that no one listens to. It's gonna go great. I don't have any thoughts. I just am upset this wasn't a grave digging related question. So I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot there. I get what he's talking about, though. Like, I don't watch games with the same anticipation and escape from everything else. I mean, that hasn't happened for 20 years. I mean, and again, I have a good deal, and I'm not complaining about it. But that window of, oh, my team is playing, the Red Sox are playing the Blue Jays, I can't wait, and this is all I'm doing, and then I get to just watch it and enjoy the ups and downs.
Yeah.
That's just not what it has. So then you don't do this for a job, and you're doing it to predict. I don't know. Maybe you probably start a Twitter feed, future Russillo takes, and as the game, then you live tweet it. Nobody's going to follow that, though. That Russillo memes, guys. I think they've tapped out at a couple grand.
No, he's almost at 10 grand. I think, isn't he? He's doing all right.
I probably should just say 10K. I don't know why I said grand, and then
I don't know either. And I followed you. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, very weird.
You're right, though. I think that's why I've gravitated towards watching more soccer, because I don't. Although now I guess I do give takes on it, but it was just like, yeah, I could just watch this and enjoy it. Whereas like the NFL back in the day, you're like, every Sunday you're watching the NFL going, all right, like what's the show going to be on Monday? Like, all right, who we want to do for guests? What are the main topics? And you're just like, I'm not even really enjoying this anymore. So I would definitely not recommend that if that's your life. But if you're not actually getting paid by that, so I don't know. But do
Maybe
you
detox, dude?
Yeah.
Detox in the regular season, maybe. I don't know.
So you're telling people to not listen to the podcast? Maybe that guy should take a month off.
No, I mean from his sports thing. From his sports thing.
I say I think he should. We could survive losing a guy for a couple months. That might be what he needs to do. Reset, recharge.
Jump
Just
right
listen
to
to
life
life
advice.
advice.
Yeah, jump to life advice. Exactly.
This isn't even a life advice. This is more of a ruling, but it's a good one. Plain puker. Hey guys, 62205. No real gym stats. Jokic-esque post game at men's league. So bad in the playoffs.
a lot of guys say that.
Yeah.
Like
No.
everyone thinks they're Jokic because they don't have a vert.
Right.
I'm one of those guys. Don't worry about it. I mean,
Yeah, but you're not calling yourself Jokic-esque, are you?
that is true.
Now the Jokic thing is so really you're like him. You're the best
MVP-esque.
passing big of all time. Just zinging it into the corners blindly.
Triple double machine at the
Yeah.
Y. Nice.
I'm a lot like a KG, just a little less offense. Recently, my wife and I enjoyed a week in Sedona for vacation. Our return flight was Phoenix to Boston, 5 hours. Packed major airline. I was in the aisle seat, wife in the middle, stranger. Window seat. Immediately after takeoff, our window seat companion started vomiting into his bag, barf bag. He proceeded to fill the first bag, then a second one, prior to asking my wife for the barf bag located in her seat back pocket. He then proceeded to fill a third bag. Can't blame the guy for getting sick. It happens to the best of us. This guy was flying to Boston and he has this kind of attitude. They must have relocated from Glen Ellen or something.
Just visiting. Yeah.
Yeah. What has stuck with us though is he never got up for the remaining 4 hours of the flight. He did not wash up. He did not throw away the 3 bags of puke.
Come on.
He had 2 airline cup servings of water and slept it off the rest of the flight. What's the etiquette here? Hand the barf bags to the flight attendants, get up to wash up and dispose of the evidence in the bathroom? Or did he know that the only remedy was to sleep this off and pretend this never happened? On our end, should we have pressed the issue? We gave one courtesy. Is everything all right? Do you need anything? To which he replied with a faint shaking of the head. Flight mask requirements help, but the stench was still a problem for a good chunk of the flight.
No.
We felt that he was in rough enough shape. And didn't want to stress his system anymore by making a bigger deal of this. But we did.
He knows his body.
Yeah, but we did sit with these bodily fluids in our row. Oh, yeah, right. That's a question. But did we sit with these bodily fluids in our row unnecessarily? Would love your input. Shout out to Cerruti and Kyle. Oh, he lived in the same dorm as Cerruti's wife. Freshman year of college.
UConn?
Dun, dun, dun.
Huskies. All right.
Is that information out there, dude?
What? That she went to UConn?
The dorm she was in? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess he knows her last name is Cerruti now. Maybe they're Facebook friends. I don't know.
Well, let's just go with that.
There are some
Yeah, I'm
questions
sure there's
here.
nothing.
What's
weird
this
about
guy?
Might need
the
some more
puke
information
story-
after this. After we wrap this up.
Sure, there's nothing weird about it. Just wondering how he knew that, but whatever.
Hey, slip me the email address real quick.
Just want to talk.
I'm not one of those dudes. We're good.
Yeah, I don't know. What is this? Is the puke story even real? Like, oh, by the way.
This is just like a long attempt to tell me that you
Yeah.
know my wife. All right, cool.
Not even. He just knows that you guys are in the same dorm. I don't mean.
Yeah.
Kyle, you want to start on this one?
Yeah. I was on a ferry yesterday, and motherfuckers was just puking, and I was having a real rough time. We almost missed the boat, and so there was no
What ferry?
seats. The
Overboard, too?
Catalina ferry.
You did a Catalina day trip yesterday?
Yeah, saw your boy Leinert over there too.
Nice.
But anyway, we missed the boat. There was like no seats. One nice lady was like, here, there was like actually a pretty big table seat. There's a group of 4 of us, and they moved over. So we're like, oh my God, we finally got a seat inside. Everything's good. And it's right by the bathroom. We didn't even realize because the bathrooms were kind of tucked away. So there's just lines of people. It's like a 75-minute ferry trip. There's just lines of people waiting to go to the bathroom. And they didn't even start going to the bathroom until they were like gonna puke. So there's just people puking like on the floor in front of our seats. And like, I mean, that's unacceptable. Frankly, unacceptable. I say go to the side of the boat. But
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like
I say
you have a free.
should you address
ocean.
it? Should you address it? Yes, me and my buddy Jim were like, go outside. My girlfriend and his sister were there, and they were like, don't make them feel bad. I was like, no, we're all in here. That's like, yeah, somebody's going to clean it up, but you still puked. It's going to be a fucking massacre. It's going to be a bloodbath in here if there's more people like me who smell and see and hear, and that's like a good enough trigger. Especially on an airplane, I would have told the guy, maybe you want to go at least get that stuff out of here. I don't really think that's a problem. I know you don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to be embarrassed if somebody's like, hey, you want to go get that out of here? Like, what if you just have a baby that shit its diaper? Like, you think that's fine too to just leave that the whole time? I don't think so. I don't know. I think smells and stuff like that, especially if it can affect you in a certain way. I don't think it's I think there's a way to address that without being like mean and be like pointing and like laughing and be like, hey, look at this asshole. Like, I think there's a difference in there. And I think you were totally within your rights to say something.
Yeah, these are easily like, talk about an easygoing couple. To just be like, hey, we asked, but like, are we in the wrong here? I mean, look, let's get to the core. This guy had a rough night out.
Correct.
Like,
Probably.
was probably dying, probably a young dude, overdid it, got on the plane, and then was like, I don't care about anything until I just want to be back in my bed, back home. Maybe Scottsdale just got the better of him. Happens. I would still think after an hour of smelling vomit that you're within your right to either tap the guy and go, hey, we're going to have to, like, at some point I would go, hey man, I know you're dying. Get it. Not a big deal. We're going to have to update the system though. We're going to have to get the puke out of here. You're going to have to clean yourself up. Like, I'm not fucking dealing with this for 5 hours, man. And I think you could have, as he's passed out and he doesn't care. If he's young and he's hungover, that guy doesn't care about anybody.
Correct.
Which is very clear. He also, you might have been able to say to one of the attendants, I know this sucks, but can we do a gloves into a garbage bag situation here where at least we throw this part of it away? And if he doesn't want to do that, like, if he's that guy, you have to have more, self-awareness. You got to be a little bit more courteous. But again, if we're talking early 20s, super hungover kid flying cross country, he doesn't care about anybody. And it's up to you to go, I'm not being a dick. I'm not saying I have no sympathy for you, but at the same time, like, you can't have these bags of stink
Come
hanging
on.
out.
I'm like getting nauseous hearing you say it. That's it. I'm done. I'm not good with that. And I think you can't assume people are. So you have to just, you got to go home. You got to take your ball and go home at that point, which in this case would be getting rid of the evidence and washing up and apologizing.
I don't even think you have to be courteous about it, Ryan. I think you could just be like, hey man, like, we got to figure this out. This isn't gonna work
totally,
out.
Yes. Like, hey,
You don't have to be a dick,
out.
but you got to go, hey man, like,
What are we
you
going to do
can
here?
go back to sleep immediately, but like, you got to get the flight attendant because they have bags. They have, like, what, the biohazard, not a biohazard. I don't even know what it would be called, but like, they have shit to take care of that. Throw it in, put it in the back, and then everyone's fine and you can pass out and everyone can go on their way. The idea that stood next to them for 5 hours is actually, it's insane.
That's insane.
No, we got a good segue here though too, because the next one is about they call it mancation. We can get a branding of that a little bit later, but the college buddies, we try to pick a trip. Eventually I couldn't go to most of them because I didn't have any money, but I made 2 of the early ones. And one of my buddies from Boston, we were flying from New Orleans back to Boston. Everybody got after it. Obviously, I think we were like 22 and our seats were mixed up. I think I told this story one other time before. Audience girls, keep it moving. And he was dying. He was dying at the airport. We get the seats. He looks at me. He's like, dude, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? He's like, I'm going to throw up. I feel terrible. So I was like, all right, whatever. And he turned to the lady next to him and he goes, is there any way my friend can sit here and then you take his seat? And it seriously, I think it was like a window for an aisle situation or something like that. Or maybe she was going to get an aisle and he was going to go, whatever. The point was she wasn't going to lose out. And she was just like, no, I'm not changing seats. And it wasn't a bad trade for her. Let me just emphasize that again, because I was willing to trade so that he didn't have to sit next to somebody that was going to throw up the whole time that wasn't his college roommate. And it's just one of the funniest things ever because he gets super dramatic about things at times. And he had his bag and he was getting ready to throw up. And she's like, no. And she was being pretty uptight about the whole thing. And he just turned to her. He's like, you're about to have the worst flight of your life.
Yes.
Because he got mad. He like snapped. And he's like over his bag in his face. He's like, you're about to have the worst flight of your entire life. Whatever. Something like that. And then he just puking Patty O'Brien's pink hurricane, red hurricane mix, bag after bag of died the whole flight, and I'm just cracking up next to him. I'm laughing so hard. So, all right, Mancation, 39, 6'1", 260. College buddies and I take a yearly long weekend trip called Mancation.
I love it.
One person is tasked with planning the trip, purchasing plane tickets, lodging, and normally an event. So when you show up to the airport, you have no idea where you are going.
Oh, come on.
We do provide a rough packing list depending on weather, but normally in the summer, it's a summer deal, so it's not a big deal. First of all, I cannot fathom guys at 39 years old still signing off on something. That's a great sign of your group and friendship. It's not a criticism. It is envy, but that is, I can't believe guys with wives and families. If you had said 23, yes. 29, 39. I can't believe this. I can't believe it. 39.
They pay, one person pays for the entire trip every time. That's what he's saying?
So, and charge for
one
flights.
person tasked with planning the trip.
Okay. I thought like one.
Well, he said purchasing plane tickets, but I think basically
he's fronting the money for everybody else.
Well, yeah, right. He goes, this is a low-key group. We keep the budget low. Clearly, you guys are very low-key. Only meaning that everybody signed off on this. There's no fucking way I would ever show up to an airport now with my buddies being like, you have no idea where we're going, buddy. You have no idea the accommodations. It's gonna be on a budget, Russillo. You're gonna love it. Although now, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'll go now.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't do anything.
Cat skills. Let's do it.
Actually, do you guys have room for an extra? Look, one of my friends, well, I'll save this because I know where this is going. All right. So the only issue is we really haven't kept up with inflation. And the cost is $825 per man. So they're keeping it $825 for flights, lodging, events. And they're trying to keep it at $825. So that plays into this. This plays into it perfectly, trying to figure out what are your options for $825 per dude. We're all flying out of the Southeast. Most can fly out of Atlanta. Normally, that will help with cost. It is less about going to Vegas, New York, and more about how you can make the budget work. All right, I don't.
Awesome.
Now I don't. Yeah. No, I
need a movie about this.
I like that you guys do it. I would never want to do this. Kind of working backwards. So I guess it's what they're saying. It's getting more challenging every year to figure it out. So this year is mine, and I've settled on Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh,
Whoa.
No. Was there last night.
Mostly because we can afford it. So as soon as he said Atlanta and direct flights and cost, he was like, where can we go from Atlanta? Hartford. There are direct flights from all the cities. And there's a fish show on that Sunday night. All right. Okay. All right. So that makes a little bit more sense.
I could put a dent in the budget, though, dude.
There's no talking me out of it. The ship has sailed. We have a decent hotel downtown, flights, decent times, and tickets to the show. What we need is advice on bars and restaurants, other things to do. We normally eat a steak dinner one night and always try to find the best wing spot in town. The rest of the trip is essentially catching up over beers. Oh, man.
I hate to break it to you, man, but it's not the spot to be.
Don't do this, guys. Be positive. Don't do this.
No, there's cool, like the people that come to Connecticut, that are, if they work for ESPN or whatever, there's plenty of people that come from out of state and they're like, oh, this state sucks. Like, I don't know, there's stuff to do here. There's good food, whatever. Hartford, though, if like you have to kind of get outside Hartford. Like I would suggest you go to New Haven.
It's so far though. What's
like a half an hour? It's 40 minutes.
What's the nice steakhouse down by the Capitol in Hartford? I used to go there all the time.
Capitol Grill.
Yeah, Capitol Grill. You can go to Capitol Grill. It's really good. It's not.
Yeah, it's fine.
Bad. No, Capitol Grill is terrific. I used to eat there. I would go to West Hartford though. If you want to do dinners and you want to do some sit down beers, just go to West Hartford Center. It sounds like you guys are pretty laid back, and pick any of the restaurants there, whether it's Treva, Brico.
You go to Barcelona.
Yeah, you go to Barcelona. There's a Greek place that's there.
Bar Taco is always fun.
Bar Taco is fun. So there you go. I would hit up West Hartford Center if you're kind of hanging out during the day, anticipation of the show. But I'm just saying, like the bopping around of nightlife in Hartford, it's going to be disappointing for just like you guys. If it were a different musical taste, perhaps I'd say you like Hartford a little bit more. Fish guys, Hartford, don't I don't see it. Although they might have the minor league baseball going.
Yeah,
by the time they
daytime.
get there. Yeah, daytime.
Yard Goats game. You can go to a Hartford Athletic game. Went there last night. Shout out to the soccer team.
Right.
Second division. There's stuff to do. It's just, I mean, the slogan is Hartford has it.
I'm just telling you right now to the emailer, I don't know what the other trips were, but as I mentioned, my group where everybody who won, like if you won the golf tournament, you were in charge of then picking the next destination. So I won it one year with another guy. He was the golfer. It wasn't because of me. And we were like, okay, well, we haven't done Vegas yet. We'll do Vegas. And then the guy who won that year picked Biloxi, Mississippi, and we've made fun of him for 20 years.
Yeah, I thought they were going to say like Branson, Missouri or someplace like that. Like Hartford is even more random than that. It's just not a scene for tourism. Sorry.
Our Twain House?
Yeah, you could do that. I've seen the sign for it a million times. I've never been myself.
What about Bushnell Park? That's safe, right?
Yeah, it's a park, You've seen one park, you've seen every park. That's kind of my hot take. It's not that
all
amazing.
parks are the same?
Yeah, I mean,
Boston.
Yosemite might be a little bit
Yeah.
different.
In one park, you've seen
Boston
them all.
Common, Yellowstone.
Not a park guy.
No, they're just like, I don't know, it's a park. There's some flowers and trees. You can sit down, have a picnic. It's fun.
Hour 45 from Poughkeepsie, New York. If you guys do everything in the first night, head on down to the riverfront.
you can
Hour
definitely do everything in the first night.
Shoot on
in
down.
Hartford.
Question for you. Did you have a good time with Bill and Catalina?
Oh, you think I went with Bill?
No. I was just kidding. Thanks to Kyle and Steve. Again, specific life advice stuff coming up on the show, and Bill and I will be on Sundays for recapping everything that's gone on up to that point through the weekends. Please subscribe, Ryen Russillo Podcast, Ringer, and Spotify.